All right, so here we are at the headwaters of the raging river. Some of you may know it eventually flows into the Snoqualmie River there at Falls City. And we came from the top of Rattlesnake Ridge back that way, down past these comm sites here again. North Bend is over there. You can kind of hear the wind blowing and a little bit of traffic noise from I-90. Not quite as loud as it usually is because of the pandemic. Not as many people traveling. But if we were to go over there, the Rattlesnake Ridge Trail comes right through here. This is a mountain bike trail called the Raging Ridge. And interestingly enough, this mountain bike trail was built at the same time that we were doing the logging here. We teamed with the recreation crew here in Snoqualmie, and basically they had the trail mapped out, and so we made sure that there weren't any piling around the trail, so they could come in and build. And they were basically chasing the trail crew that was building the trails were chasing the loggers. Kind of, they started here back up the ridge there, and this trail goes on and then cuts down and goes down into the Raging, which starts right here, which is pretty cool. It's not every day you get to see the headwaters of a major river. And so basically, you know, it starts out as a patch of Devil's Club and some skunk cabbage and a seep there that is fed by all the snow that slowly melts and the precipitation that we get at this elevation. We're about 400 or so feet below now, so we're at 3,600 feet ish in the true fir zone. So we, like I said before, we planted noble fir here, but you know, there's got to be under here somewhere an impervious surface of basalt or maybe some compacted material at this point from the glacier, where you have an underground aquifer basically coming out and coming out into a seep here that eventually turns into a larger stream, what would be a type 5 stream, and then into a type 4 stream because it's very steep here, and then getting down into the Raging, you know, proper, which would be type 3 stream, into a 2 and a 1 even once you get down into the Snoqualmie River. So cool spot here where the Raging starts. And as I said before, up there, you know, we didn't use veg control here because we didn't feel we need to. You can see the salmonberry is doing quite well, and the red elderberry is doing quite well here. But the trees are popping up. They're starting to do good. We have a lot of ericaceous species up here, red huckleberry, that do well in this area because of the acidity of the forest soils that we have here. But these trees, having been just planted for one season last year, are doing quite well, these noble fir. And then we do have a fairly recent road cut here that we can kind of look at and take a quick gander here before we move on to the next stop. And as you can see, it's lots of angular rock, very rocky, very sandy type material. Yeah, this is kind of a little heavily disturbed here, not the best example, but we do have, you know, quite this thick O horizon here. You know, and when I pop that up, I can smell the fungi there and the and bacteria, that earthy forest soil smell. So we have couple inches of O horizon, which is basically sticking around because of the cool weather. You know, we do have a lot of water here, which is great, and you know that helps with weathering. But because it's such cool temperatures up here, there's not as many microbes, and they don't work as quickly as further down where the temperature is going to be warmer. So after that thick O, we get into, you know, the A horizon here, quite dark and rich, into that humic material, and then or the humic material, then into the A horizon here, the darker material, and then into that B1 horizon, which you can see has a lot of redox reaction going on up here. And again, that's based on the moisture. You know, there's just so much moisture here. This stuff, you know, also has, you know, quite a bit more structure than some of the lower soils that we've seen that have similar color, but they're much more single-grained and sandier, where these have began to get more structure due to the high water content and the weathering by hydrolysis with the high water content. When we get into below this B1 horizon, into a lighter colored material, right, into a B2, and then this is maybe, we would have a B3 here, and eventually start getting into some larger rock that again are angular rock. We don't have you know, that glacial rounded rock here. It's all angular. You're going to be hard pressed to find any round rock at this elevation up here, up on Rattlesnake Ridge. And you know, your basic profile there. You got your O, your A, B1, B2, probably a B3, into a C, getting into that basalt parent material. So here we have the headwaters of the raging. Cool spot. And then again, we have kind of a mosaic of different tree stand ages. Here we have a 2-year-old stand next to a stand that's about 20 years old now, which is also mostly true fir mixed with some Douglas fir. And then over there we have a 50-year-old stand that we're probably going to cut here in the next couple of years. And you know, as we were overlooking the valley there, you could kind of see these different blocks or patterns of different stand ages, which you know, is what we do. We not only cut the timber here, but we also replant and continue to grow trees here. As the Department of Natural Resources, we are owning this land in perpetuity. At least that's the plan. And so we want to keep revenue coming in. We want to keep this area in trees for as long as possible. And that helps with, you know, future outcomes for buffering for climate change, soil conservation, you know, keeping the soil stable and where it's at by keeping it forested.